This is obviously a completed movement with the dial, hands, crowned. That's what I worked on in this video, and this is after the fact, but I just wanted to state record this and state at the beginning that a good chunk of this video is me discovering that things did not go as planned. So yeah, I had to figure out a few things, and it wasn't as straightforward as I thought it would be. And so if you wanted to, you could probably just fast forward this video to the end. I'll try to leave a something that pops up here where you can advance, or maybe in the description, so that you can skip the mistakes and corrections, the mistakes I discovered and the corrections I made to make this thing work out. Otherwise, it could be very informative to you. That's why I leave it in here. As much as successful procedures and then things happening right is very cool. I think just as important is to learn about the things that didn't work out and how and why, and how, I guess maybe how I resolved them. So I'll just quickly state that I started with the crown, and I thought I had, there's a DLW crown signed PVD, which I modified with loom. But anyways, I already had a trim stem for that would work with a NH36, NH35, 4R, 35, 36, 6R15 type of movements, and supposedly a 7S26 as well. It's been trimmed for a SKX case, and with this one of those aftermarket movements or upgraded movements, depending how you look at it. And so I figured, yeah, I did it before, it should work. But I never had a DLW crown. I had I had several other ones. I've had a jumbo crown from Dragon Shrouds. I've had a one from, 2359. That's in England, UK, which is a nice signed crown that's very similar to this, but not black PVD. And I've also had some from Artifice Orworks. You guys know Seiko modding, you'll be familiar with that one. And yeah, I had a non-signed, but it was a nice coin edge aftermarket crown that's fairly close to stock size. It might have been just a tiny bit longer, but anyways, all those worked, so I figured this probably has to work too, no problem, right? It didn't turn out that way. It turned out I screwed it in all the way, and the total length of the stem with the crown was approximately 3 to 4 millimeters longer than what it should have been. I measured it up directly against this stock SKX crown and stem. This is, this is supposed to work in a SKX with a 7S26 movement. It's right length and all that. I think what messed it up was right here, this section of the crown, right in front of the, I guess, the double COs here. This section right here, that wasn't on any of the previous ones I had. Maybe those I could screw in, and they, pretty much at the end of the crown was right about here instead. So yeah, about this much was about extra long, and I tried to test fitted it, and you can push it in enough. It's still stuck. The crown's still stuck out of the case, and you wouldn't be able to lock it down. So I had to custom trim the stem. I have a few extra untrimmed ones, and actually one came with the crown too. So I used that and measured it and got it down to size. Not much to report on that, but that's one first hiccup. The other one was the movement. That's the more major one. Well, then before that, not really hiccup, but it is tricky to put the hands on these things. And you'll see me kind of struggle a little bit, but I tried to show what I did, and it eventually worked out. But anyways, getting to the point, this, or rather the second main point about this video is the mistakes I made or did not catch until later was the movement itself. I had put in a new, this was an H36A movement that I salvaged from a inverse Pepsi tuna mod. You can look that up online or through my channel. You should see it several videos back, but it's the one probably directly after my Night King mod, if you're familiar with that. Anyways, so I took that out and took out the dial, and that one had a black kanji day disc, and then had a white date wheel. Since I got this new mod and everything's more toned down, and I just didn't want that, it'd be like a fat white bar of day and date over here to show up, I decided it'd be good to go with black instead. And so that I had to change the date wheel to black. It was originally white. It seemed pretty straightforward from the videos that I saw, and some online resources. But you know, and I thought I got it wrong the first time, and I had gone back in and fiddled with some stuff for it to do the proper date change when I was in the first position. And then it never occurred to me till when I was trying to put this one right here together, that after I got the dial on and I was fast forwarding it to see if where midnight it would turn over, and then I noticed that the day disc was not turning over, and the date one was basically flipping up to 3 times. So like once normally, and then as I keep advancing the crown, you see it flip once, and then again, not even within after 24 hours, just well within it. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I kept fast forwarding it on the second position, and that will still happen. It'll jump advance the date as it should, but it'll also advance it 2 more times right after in succession, like that. And I was like, wait a minute, that's kind of like the way the day window disk operates. It's dual language, so when you flip it, when you rotate or when time changes over, it'll flip over twice, once in kanji, well, first into English, and then the next day in kanji, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it was not working, and so I had to take everything apart, and it was a bitch. I wasted at least 2 hours trying to go in and out and figure out, what was going on. Yeah, I thought I may have to replace it altogether and start over, but at least with the movement, and at least I didn't have to do that, because I don't need to spend another $35 or $40 at most maybe on a new movement, which I knew shouldn't have been working because I know it worked before in my other mod. So I get in there and I basically fix it. So at the very end, I'm going to go to the site that I went to get some references, like on how to put the movement back together after the dial's gone and everything on up front of that. I use stuff with the bare bones, and I usually tweak my regulations. What was I saying? So these are the main things that I wanted to show, and so I'll show you how I resolved getting the date disk fixed. I don't want to open it up again, and it's kind of complicated to explain, even though actually it isn't. So I'm going to switch over to the computer and talk you through what happened with the movement and date. Now I'm going to start with we're going to start assembling the watch. Everything that I need that's modified, customized, has pretty much been done. So we're going to just get into putting everything together. Start with the crown. Here's the DLW black PVD signed crown, which I custom filled with, sorry about the focus, loom. As you can see right here, sorry for the focus, that, I think that'll be pretty good. And so first thing I'm going to do is put in the proper stem that works with a movement other than a 7S26, which is specifically I have a NH36A, but pretty much anything like a NH35, 4R35 or 36, which is the equivalent in Seiko terms, even though the NH movements are basically Seiko instruments anyways, but they're just like I think they're like non-branded Seiko movements. And the 6R15s, for instance. So I had some stems that work with it from previous, and I have one that's trimmed and untrimmed, and the one we want is the one that's trimmed, which is obviously shorter. These were pre-cut to fit in, one of those movements I mentioned in an SKX case. So yeah, I got these from Seiko Parts.wordpress. It's a good resource for modifying Seikos. And the guy, I can't think of his name right now, that runs it, he's pretty good at asking certain questions on, doing mods. So this is it right here, and you can compare the heads between. Let's see if I can get this better in focus. This is a SKX crown. It's all one piece, or at least it's pretty much permanently attached. That's why you just can't take an SKX, you're modifying SKX 007 and 009. You can't just take that crown and put it into a new movement. You see how the top is different, like especially right in the center here, compared to what's here on the right. Sorry, the focus. Definitely different. Right in the middle section is, see how it steps more. Anyways, supposedly this crown is backwards compatible, so it will work with a 7S26. You wouldn't think so, but it does. At least that's what people say. But whenever you upgrade to a hacking and hand winding movement, you rarely go back to the original anyways. And as you can see, I'll show you the difference here in the crown. This has there's no gasket inside. It just has a single gasket for the seal. So we're going, in the DLW here, I can't see, well, you know what? There actually might be a gasket on the inside. Let's see if you can see anything here. I doubt it. I think, I could be wrong, but I think inside, let's see, can you focus on this? Yeah, it's too dark to see, and I don't think if bumping the ISO is going to help, but I believe it, from what I can see with my naked eyes, I think there is like a black gasket ring in the back there. Regardless, already on the crown right here, come on, focus. Focus. You see right there, it's got a double O-ring gasket versus the SKX, which is a single piece. Oops, sorry about that. Very unstable platform. You can see there, see, single, double. So this should be better because it has a double O-ring versus one single one. So that's a noticeable upgrade. So anyways, once I stick this crown into here, it should be the proper length. Just screw right in. I'm just going to test fit this. This should be basically the right length as the original here. All things considered. I do have to screw it in a bit more, huh? It is quite a bit longer. Even if I could get the stem all the way down, I don't think it's going to make up for that. Huh. Crap. I wonder if I have to, do I actually have to trim this? You know, if I take my, I should go, I really don't want to crack it open. I have another modified SKX downstairs that I'm selling. It's my Night King mod, and that has, you know, the aftermarket part. So if that matches up with that, then for certain I know it will fit. Why is it so much longer? Even if I could screw it down enough. Let's see if you can see it here. Yeah, it's only going to be there, and I wonder if there's a way I can cut this down short enough. So it'll be about the same length. Hang on a second. So I have these extra pieces. This is what goes at the end to re-extend the pieces if they're cut too short. Okay, let me investigate something. Slight change of plans. I'm going to jump into putting this onto the dial first, and I'm going to test out the fitment of the stem in the case. So let's see here. Here is where you would insert the crown, so that means obviously this should be at the 4 right here. There you go. That's right. The window lines up right there. Perfect. So let's move ahead and just test fit this inside the movement. My Cerakoted SKX case. And, maybe the stem on the SKX is actually supposed to be a little bit longer on the new movement. Sorry, out of frame, slightly out of focus. I'm trying to aim this down, hopefully without the camera tilting down. I know this is trickier without the actual this is flush. Should drop in just like this. Supposedly, some people say you're supposed to switch out the frame, this plastic frame that's around the movement. But I have to tell you, I've never had it be an actual issue. Previously, I've put the NH35 movement right into an SKX case without having to modify it or swap it out for the black one. But I don't know, I feel like it's different this time. I don't feel like it's going in the way it should. Let's see here. Let's take this aside and let me drop the old movement in. That's an original 7S26 movement. And if that goes right in, like deeper, like into the case without any issues, then perhaps maybe I should see about swapping the where the heck is it? Right here. That seems to fit right in a bit better, huh? Didn't really have any fight on that one. Question is, how the hell do you remove that? Let's take off the dial here. Oh man, I think you understand. If it's what I'm seeing, then shit, I'd have to take off the date wheel and stuff to get in there, because I think there's these black pieces that are kind of sitting behind the date disc would interfere, and I have a feeling that it doesn't pop out the reverse way, or does it? No, it definitely goes forward. See how I just that comes off there, that comes off there like that, but oh man, I was really hoping to avoid taking off the date disc again. I mean, is it that much thicker? Let's see. I don't believe it, because I've done it without having to do that before. So I feel like it should be able to get away without doing it again. It's not any thicker, really. Alright, let's try this again. No, it should fit right in. With little to no modification in there. I think I just need to get a chapter ring in there. Maybe that might help hold it in place. Let's just try one more thing here. Anyways, I think I got it to fit. Basically what it should. I don't know, I have crap on here. Always blow it out. So, the trick is seeing how well this fits right in as is. It should go right in. And I can't get it in anymore. I do have to shorten it. It just can't go in. It's too long. Damn it, why is this different? Okay, so I gotta knock off a few millimeters here. But I'll pull back. Better to change the date and everything. Alright, well. Really weird. Okay, let me work on this. So I have a full stem for an NH36A movement, and I'm going to trim it down. I've marked it on here, but I think it's about this length right here of thread. Sorry for the focus. This length, this bottom one, this up to this whole thread down to this solid piece, I guess. That needs to go. So I marked it with the marker on the other one. So that's about how much I need to trim off from here down. And that should give me the proper length. See, because these are lined up. These are lined up there. So if I take that, yeah, so that should be about right if I cut it right about there. And the trick is, I don't really have an actual I don't have an actual stem trimmer. Just a something like this. Hopefully this isn't going to be too brutal, but we shall see. You know what I mean? Hope it doesn't like warp the end of the metal too much. So, you can't see it, but I am trying to line it up with that black mark. I suppose just better to not trim off too much than better to trim off too little than too much, because then I can always maybe file it down a little bit more if I needed to. Jeez, I hope the top and bottom half are actually aligned so it doesn't cut it at a weird angle. Okay, here goes nothing. Oh crap. Okay, well, that, as they say, is that. I think I should take a file. Yeah, let's see if you can see that. Definitely got some burr at the end, but I didn't cut it, well, pretty close, but I think this will do. I just need to file this off, and hopefully it'll go right into the crown without being stuck or something. Okay, so I'm going to take a file. Oops, sorry for the focus. Try to get that down. Let me see if I can zoom up in there for you. So, if you see his end sticking up over there, sorry. Yeah, forgive me if the focus gets out because I'm concentrating from above my camera here just so I can actually see hands on. But you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. Just make sure that the end doesn't have anything that will get weird and caught up in the threads of the crown. You know, you don't want it to just kind of get stuck and enlarged and you can't even remove it, and it's not deep enough. Something like that. You hear some gunfire in the background. It's just a movie I have on. It's something that my stepdad said, oh, you gotta check this out. There's a new movie out you can see on this device that we have. It's called Hunter Killer. It's a cool submarine movie. I vaguely remember it coming out not that long ago. Has Gerard Butler in it. Is that his name? The guy from, I think, 300. A lot of, been typecasted in a lot of gladiator type of stuff, but, or, you know, I think he was in Gods of Egypt, and I don't know. A lot of the movies he's done has kind of been him in skimpy out armor. Anyways, I haven't been fully paying attention to the movie because I've been trying to get this done. But so far, it's alright. It's hard to find a decent submarine movie. Das Boot is probably the best. Next to that, I guess World War II wise, it'd probably be U-571. It's probably a bit Hollywooded, but it's an entertaining movie and I liked it. And I always liked The Hunt for Red October. That was always a fun movie too. The first of like Tom Clancy's movie to hit the big screens. And yeah, that was always a cool one. Crimson Tide was, I guess, not exactly the same, but that was alright. But it was more of a suspense drama within this sub. You know, oh, do we fire? Do we not? We don't have confirmation. I'm the captain. You do what the fuck I say. But you know, Gene Hackman's good in that movie. He usually plays a pretty good role. Now, what was stupid was I was filing above my movement. I don't want that. Hopefully, nothing really serious got in there. That's what happens when you work on stuff late at night. And rather impulsively, like you just want to get it done. Because I have been putting this on the back burner for some time. And what do you think here? Let's see if I can focus. At the very end of it, you know, in the center of it, it shouldn't matter if it's, you know, not perfect, because it's not, that's not the part that's going to get threaded in. I'm mostly concerned around, you know, the rim of this part here, that nothing, no burrs or anything will mess up. So I'm going to use this soft file here. Maybe the metal one might be, it's good to get some stuff down, but maybe the metal one was a bit too abrasive. It may still leave something to be desired in terms of metal, burrs or something that from that crude instrument I used to cut this with. Now, it feels like there's nothing catching it, when I'm running my fingers across like this. Alright, we'll say it's good enough. And again, just make sure I didn't do something stupid. So I had this movement from a previous mod regulated pretty darn good. Alright, that's my dog in the background. Okay, so we take this pin vise, and we grab it at the end, so right in, it up to a certain point, because if it gets to a point that's too wide, then come on. The thing about having cheap tools, inexpensive ones at least, is they don't always do things perfectly, and you'll see in like my crystal press later, a lot of people have these cheap ones that are like, I don't know, barely $10 I think, the blue ones with the metal, the plastic dies and stuff. They work, but they're just not even. Okay, that's tight enough. And then we're gonna screw this into here. Just get a feel for it. Make sure, like, as I'm going into it from the beginning, it doesn't seem like it's wanting to veer off course and get stuck, because then that could jack up the whole production. I think it's going in. Crap. Man, I hope I didn't screw up my crown. That would be unfortunate and disappointing. Let's see, it's tightening. It's actually going in. It looks like it's straight. Let's compare it to the original. Or if it's like drastically different. Here, let's put it side by side on the ground, and I'll aim the camera down. It might be ever so slightly longer, but I don't know, it might be good enough. We'll take a look and see. Okay, focus. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, so you can see me passing it through, and where does it lock in? Right there. It sounds like it's winding. It caught. I'm pulling on it. It's not coming out. So it's engaged. Now the thing is, make sure I can push the crown in. It's kind of hard to do it on the other hand. Right-handed. So once it screws down all the way, I'm cool, I think. Yes. That did it, I think. And let me just pull it back out, make sure it pops out. Okay. You can hear it winding. And if I advance it, well, I'm not going to set the date because I don't even know where it is. So we're going to move the second position and advance it. Look, it looks like it's almost at midnight already. It's just flipping over. Flip. This is where ideally I should stop and set the time. You know, I would leave it hacked and set the hands at this position, but I got to pull the crown out too because I don't want to set it with in the case. I don't like doing that. Anyways, if I keep going, I guess the date should turn over. You better. Oh man, why isn't the date moving? It was earlier when I was messing with this. Oh man, not cool. Okay, the hands are moving forward. Wait. I don't want to set the time if it's not at the right spot. Okay, here we go. Right, flip over 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So if I do about 7 of those twists, it should be clear of that midnight zone. 1, 2, 3. Why is it doing that? It's not supposed to be. 1. This is not right. That's just great. What the heck happened here? Alright. Let me pause and figure this out. Okay, finally figured this out after a while. My date window was not clicking over. My day window, rather. It's not clicking over. And the date was clicking over like 3 times, once and then double. It's at I don't know, a couple of turns, a few more, you know. Anyways, and I was thinking that's weird. Why the hell is it doing that? It's not turning every, 24 hours. It's only supposed to do that, but it's doing it 3 times. And that double clicking action basically is kind of like how the date flips over twice because it has dual languages. So if you're on Monday, it'll jump once to the kanji and then again one more time to Sunday because you're set to English, and vice versa, or if you're set on kanji, it'll jump to the English and then another flip over to get back to kanji for the next day. And it took me a while taking this movement and the date wheel apart, there's all these layers of components, and there's some subtleties there, especially with that. There's like a little wheel up here that clicks over. That was making the double click. I could see that there's like 2 kind of notches or whatever that would engage this wheel, and that wasn't correct. And I looked again at some pictures online, and I noticed that part of the wheel is sitting above this metal plate that's there. I don't know what you call it. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, and mine was sitting underneath. That's why it was clicking the date wheel twice. Technically, I guess 3 times. So I needed. So basically, I just lifted it up. I was rotating this and lifted it up so that piece of that wheel, it's kind of like this hook that goes around like that. And so I lifted it over the plate, and so that it was right on top of it, because before it was kind of going under. It was incorrect. And then there's another part of that wheel, that black piece that's on the other side that hooks, and it's a single click, and that's for the date. Anyways, I'm not going to get into it because it took me a while, and it's very delicate work because things shift very easily, and I had to hold things in place and screw it down and make sure everything was aligned and all that. And it's a pain in the ass. Anyways, it's moving as it should. So we're going to get into finally putting the dial onto this again. And it should just line up right here at this window, right here, like so. Oops. The wrong spot. Okay, there we go. And it should just, you feel some friction, it should just fit in place. And you can see it's aligned right here. So that's that. And let's just blow that off. And let's get to putting on the hands. So first thing we're going to do is hack it. And I was worried that I busted the date changing mechanism because, you know, I think when I was doing the date wheel change and all that, when I was checking it, I forgot, oh, wait a minute, I'm basically fast setting the date, and I forget if it's at midnight or not, because I don't have a hand. I was like, oh man, that might have messed things up, but luckily I don't think it did. So anyways, so I'm going to do this till it turns, click over. The date usually goes first, so we're going to go until we start to see it move. And right there. That's basically where you want this. Assume that it's midnight. And there's this tool here. It's for setting hands. You've probably seen it. And there's this piece that goes through here that's on a spring. And you got these different plastic nibs at the ends here for different size hands. And you know, you normally have that spring on top and you push it through, so you know, with a movement here. But I don't like using this because you got to align everything, and sometimes that takes a while, and especially since these aren't really that straight, perfectly straight. So I say the best thing to do is just remove that and just use this with the nib and just push it in by hand. It'll be far more accurate and easier. And I have these, they have these holes, openings at the end. Whoops. See, for different size hands. If it's really large, you probably want to use like the hour hand. You want to use the one with a wider hole so it can clear the column. But as you go up to a smaller one, you don't want it to be that wide. You want to try to get it to be as close to what the hole size is of that. Actually, there is no hole in the second hands because it's just usually a pin that pushes through the center. But anyways, I'm going to switch it to the hour. I have one for minutes too. And these cheaply made things, you gotta be honest, they all seem practically the same. There's not that much of a differentiation in the size of the hole. So it's just a matter of practice. I mean, just checking and seeing which one works for you commonly, and I just mark it with an H with the hour hand, and then I'll push it in. So we're gonna go with our hour hand first. Oh damn, it's really stuck in there. Still in the rotico as you last saw it. Everything's holding up. So we're gonna just probably should use the tweezers. Sometimes I use a piece of rotico to grip it and drop it in, but let's try to do this hopefully without this thing dropping onto the movement. Zoom in a bit. There's shadows, I apologize, but that's all the lighting I have to work with. So we're going to just fit this right over here, and then Actually, I like to use these to push it into place because they're not sharp, but they are firm enough to and have a fine point. Because yeah, I risk scratching this thing. If I used a tweezer or something. So try to align this as best as I can to midnight, obviously. And generally I find that it's not perfect, even though you supposedly set the time that, move the crown, advance the crown, and this column ahead. It should be all aligned, but I usually find I have to adjust it, so we'll see. So it's just best to do that, and then just kind of gently push it in by hand. Do your best. Yeah, and I have to get down low, so I'm gonna just tape it. Should edit all this out, but I'm doing this as I see it. So I'm getting down low, and I'm looking at the movement like at a really low angle, just to check to see if it's not focusing on that. Yeah, you want to see how much off the dial it is, and if it's angled upwards or downwards. And just make sure it has the clearance over the indices and the emblem, obviously. Just had it where the indices are a little bit tall. But I believe I pushed it down enough. Let me just double check. Not to go too crazy on the force, but yeah, so you might possibly catch on the indices if it's too low, or it may, if it's angled too high, it may catch on the hand above it, and it's a pain in the ass to reset it. So I am going to just advance it again, just to make sure it clears everything. It should. And make sure it's at midnight. Maybe it's shifted somehow during the setting. So, and let's see, is it going to turn over properly at midnight? We'll see. Usually it's off. It's not where you think it should be. Oh, but that's pretty darn good. Close enough to midnight for me. I'm going to switch this to the minute one, which has an M marked. It's a little bit smaller, the hole at the end. And I'll grab the minute hand next. I think the trickiest one will be, usually it's the second hand because it's so fine and just trying to balance it right at the end of the stem here is very tricky. So, can you see? Sorry. Try to angle this back down again. I can't do it too much because the stand isn't that balanced. So I'll move this up a little so you can at least catch a glimpse of it. I'm going to try to put this into place. Hopefully it won't knock over and I won't somehow move the hour hand below it. This is a tricky part too. Just to get it perfectly aligned. So I'm pretty sure it's not, it doesn't look like it's completely over the hole. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little off. I got to pull it back closer. This looks like, there we go. Well, sort of. Try to gently press this down. Try to get you a better view of this if I can, but I do not want this thing to drop on top of me. The movement. Okay, here we go. I think it's shifted ever so slightly to the right. So tilt it back. Went a little bit too far. Try to go back again. Yeah, it's not set, so it's shifting on the back here. I gotta kind of weigh it down more. Just a little bit to the left. So just shift it back. Yes. Oh, whoa, went way off. Sometimes I wonder if these things are made correctly. But you know, I think DLW is one of the larger, more popular Seiko modding parts store. So, and they've probably been doing it for some time, from what I gather. So they should have this stuff down. It's tricky stuff. I don't know. I gotta just probably. Damn it. Just dump this guy off of here. Try it again. Yeah. I placed it right over it, but it doesn't want to drop right directly on top. Maybe if I hold the back end here, like that, yeah. There we go. That might be better. Keep the, so my fingers on the center. Kind of keep it steady while I try to fix this into place. And, geez, I'm trying to put some pressure on it just to try to at least start to set it in, but it doesn't seem to want to get down there. Maybe it's not going in at the best angle. Pain in the ass, man. Sometimes usually these go in pretty easily. But this one wants a fight. You don't want to bend it too. Damn it, why isn't it going down? Woes of isn't it going down? God damn it. You know, and so I'm kind of forced to just kind of just take it at whatever I can get it at. Jesus Christ, why isn't it going down? Okay, it's starting to go there, but it's not really doing it right. I think they've made the hole maybe a little too small. So it's gotta be delicate still. Oh. I think I got it. Hopefully it didn't push it in too much to touch the outer hand. Trying to shift it back to centered. Let me check out the side here. Ooh, heck of close. I think it's actually touching it, at least the loom part of it is. In that case, I may have to just angle it slightly, hopefully to lift it up slightly so it's not touching it as much. Yeah, it's going to be problematic. I gotta lift it up a little more. God damn it. I really don't want to go back in and start to use the hand removal tool. Every time it needs to touch it, it's gonna risk scratching it. See, there's a way to. Let me see. Where's my power? I'm gonna have to plug something in soon for this camera. Yeah. God damn it. Let's see. Hopefully this won't scratch the black. I'm going to try to give it some space in between. Just kind of shimmy it loose ever so slightly. Sticking it underneath here. Let me see if I can get you some focus here. Lift it back up off of the hand below it. Because I can see the hands are touching ever so slightly. And I think you can see that in the picture here. There might be just enough clearance. And I gotta check it at a different angle. Okay, I think it looks like it's darn close, but it should clear. Let's see. And this is not a good measure either. Okay, and also we want to check the alignment. If it's actually, minutes right at the top of the hour, and the hour hand is pointing pretty much dead on with the intended hour. I think it's maybe ever so slightly. It's right there. Well, it's pretty darn close. I don't think there's anything to complain about. I thought it was maybe over slightly on the hour. Let's see, this is a good way. It should be straight up and down. Yeah, I think that's good. So we're just going to go through every hour and just see where it's at. Make sure nothing's off. See, when I was looking at this looks like it's off because we're looking at this angle, but you put it up, it's probably pointing. Let's see if this is that perpendicular? To my eyes, this does seem like it's a little bit higher. Let's check it again. At 10, at 11. It seems like this definitely seems like it's past it. And let's see what happens here. Yeah, it's ever so slightly, so the hour is a little bit ahead, so that means I need to move the minute hand over, and I usually just kind of force it like so. And sometimes that works. A lot of times I gotta push it more than I think it will go. It's needed. It doesn't quite get there, so let's see. Yeah, it's still off. Let's see. 6 is a good, these are the quick references. It's ever so slightly off. I mean, either I push that back or I push I guess I can push the hour hand back a little. Whichever one seems like it's going to give more. Usually it's the minute hand. Let me advance it 2 minutes and try again. It takes a couple of tries sometimes. It's still slightly ahead, so I gotta really push it more than I think. So let's go ahead 5 minutes. Still, god damn it. See, it's not, you would think, because I said at midnight, it should have been there, but it's ever so slightly not aligned. Let's go through the, let's go through this. It doesn't look too bad there. See, 5, 6. Take it back. Go for it. Let's check it again. It's not too shabby. 8. 9. See, 9 looks like it's still kind of just a little bit high, maybe. Oh, this one was definitely looking off earlier. Why is that? Did they not make the 11 even for some reason? Right? This definitely looks like... Because every other hour seems like it's pointing more or less pretty close to where it should be. Even that. Oh. God damn it. Let's see. Yeah, I can see it's already past the midnight zone already. 1. Okay, I better plug in power. Hang on a second. Okay. Let me push the hour hand back if I can. So slightly. Let's see if this helps. I was doing the minutes, but it didn't seem to be as effective. So let me try the hour hand. Let's see if this does the trick. Maybe. It's looking better. Sometimes you have to cycle it a little bit more than just once. I think for the parts to settle in. Because I really want to make sure this is aligned before I call it quits here. I do not want to open this thing up again. Just for the movement. You know, just to realign the hands. Being in the butt. push it back too far? I think it's about right. 7, 8. Because I think if I let it be where it was, that's especially on this side for some reason, it looks like it was a little bit, the hour hand was slightly more ahead than it should have been. This one feels like it's just slightly on this side. I don't know if it's lighting or what, but then when I go here, this looks like it's about right. If anything, maybe it's just encroaching to go across a little bit past. Good enough. Okay, and lastly, let's put on the second hand. I think I might have to call it quits here because it's getting quite late. And additionally, well, mainly it's getting late and I don't have as much power in my phone, my camera as I'd like, so it'll probably not make it past me installing the rest of the stuff tonight. Can you see? Let me try to aim this back down a bit. The second hands won't actually matter because you can always, you can hack the seconds. So whether they sit where they, aligned or not, it's not a big deal. I can put it at an angle like this, not a big deal. Okay. The trickiest thing, because it's so small. Okay, where's my second hand nib? That's the hour. Then I stick it back in. Oh, I left it out. This hour, minute, seconds, minute. I should really chuck the ones I don't really use. Make my life a little easier. Shit. Where did I put... Let me pause this. Okay, found it. It's directly under my camera. Alright, let's see. Where's it in the frame? Okay. This is gonna be a pain in the butt. Try to center this. Sorry about the focus. That's why I actually prefer to use Rotico to help me hold this stuff. Let's see if that'll work. Let's put the little point in. Hopefully it won't take off the paint. And because using tweezers can be a real pain in the ass. Because you gotta hold it delicately and without shaking and loosening it. gotta get down low. So sorry, apologies if my hands gets in the way. I think the problem is I need to thin out this thing. Roller coasters. Can you see? Let's see. Hopefully, phone can handle this recording. God damn it, I cannot see shit. Let's try going this way. Apologies if it's out of frame. You can imagine trying to do this on the press. It'd be incredibly frustrating, even more so. Because you just can't get the angle, you know, and keep it in place and move it underneath that thing. Fuck. Come on, get onto that tip. Is it on there? Okay, I think I got it. And then like somehow wedge it in somewhere in between. I'm gonna totally jam and muck up the movement. Just pushing it down as much as I can. I feel like it's floating on top of the. I'm gonna hold it up to the light. I feel like it's sitting a little bit high. Last thing you want is either it's not set all the way and somewhere along the line it just falls off. It's kind of ghetto and unprofessional. Or it's kind of high where it'll touch the crystal and that'll keep it from running, and that's gonna be a pain in the butt. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna alright, I'm sure it has the height clearance. Maybe not. Okay, see how it's got stuck? It's because it's touching the minute hand ever so slightly. See if you can see that right there at near the end. So I'm gonna hack it, and I'm just gonna push it so that it tilts that hand up just a little bit. If not that, then I can always take this and lift it up, perhaps. It might have gotten slightly bent downwards because the end is so small. That even with the smaller opening on that pusher hand setter tool, And they just gone around, you know, pushed it from this around the sides and basically pushed it down. And just lift it up slightly. Make sure it's not too high. Okay, let's try this again. Come on, focus. There we go. Just when you think I had everything figured out. Oh, just getting the pieces and sticking them together. It should have been that straightforward, but it wasn't. It's always something new to learn. I believe there should be enough clearance for everything. I'm looking from the side, I don't see that they're going to touch any of the hands. So let's just let it go around once. Hopefully my recording will allow that. Is it going to pass? Yes. Okay. And good. Hacked it. And just to give you the effect of this, what do you think of the tricolored hands? I liked it. Not completely. I didn't want it to be that colorful, but just little hints of the yellow, blue, and red I think are kind of cool. Let's charge this up. And I'll give you a taste of what this should look like in the dark. Not bad. Pretty much as I mocked it up. If you've seen the loom shot that I mocked up, yeah, that should work. And let's see. I didn't do anything stupid to the hands here. Let's put it in a good location, maybe at the 10. And go. I mean, you have Seiko Luma, right? And this loom that I use lasts almost as long, if not in some ways better, but I think they'll look pretty tight. Okay, this has gone way long, so I'm going to wrap things up. I will continue with putting this movement into the case and chapter ring, the crystal, the bezel, and all that. In the next video, I think it's going to be too late. I don't have enough juice to power through anymore tonight. Alright, and I gotta get up in about 3 hours. Alright, I will catch you later. Thanks for hanging in there even through the mishaps, but you know, just showing what can happen and what needs to be done. Laters. I'm going to try this again, third time. Let's go. I go to seikoparts.wordpress.com. That's a good resource to look at information. There's tutorials and DIYs and some video links to help you with your mods on at least your SKXs, and I think they do some other models too from Seiko and possibly some other watches. But anyways, this is the main thing we're going to focus on. So basically, my problem was the date disc on the second position, advancing the time. The date did not, it advanced, but it also advanced 2 times more, so a total of 3 times at a different spot while I was winding moving the hands forward. And that was really weird that it would double jump a date. It would jump once and then it hit another spot and it would jump the date and then do it again right after. So, and then the date, I'm sorry, the day disk was not advancing at all like that. Did not check that out. I didn't think I had an issue when I was on the first position, when I was able to adjust the day and date. Yeah, so until I, recently I figured it out. This wait, something's not working right. So I had to open this thing back up, and what that means is, you gotta go back in and check out the details, and you gotta remove the day disk and the date disk out here as well. And I was trying to figure out what was happening. So here's the C clip. I showed it in the video, but you want to be careful when you remove it. It doesn't just fly off somewhere, because it's very small and light, and it kind of has a spring-like action if you get it at a certain angle where it could flick off or something. Don't lose this piece. This is the day correction wheel. This will allow you to set your day wheel disk. Once it's on, there's like a little piece that interacts with this. This does come off. It's not locked down, so carefully set that aside. And as you'll see, it's kind of got this. It kind of hooks up. It's not just straight out. It's just kind of like these fingers or something that kind of curve out this way. Versus, so you remove that, and that's how you can switch out your a different language, or maybe even also a different color like black instead of white. And there's some video links to I should probably show you how to do that. And we're going to jump over here, because once you remove that, where's that piece here? After you remove this, there is a, yeah, this is what you're going to need to remove next. I think there's at least 1, 2, there should be 4 screws around that are basically like this. That you can, 1, maybe up here, 2, 3, I think the 4th one is somewhere right in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that removed, so then you can remove this plate, so you can get to the date disk, because it's, as you can see, it's locked down underneath that plate. That's how it keeps it from falling out. And so once you get that out, you're going to want to, you're going to get this underneath, and this is your date corrector setting wheel. Again, don't lose this. This is not completely locked down as well. Yeah, I think this is what you need to remove after you get those screws out. Watch out for this. You're going to pop this plate out, which I can show it to you more definitively. It's got this little hook here. I guess you can say it's this thin piece. Once that's out, you can get to the movement underneath. As a matter of fact, I think you can get to it now. It's not actually locked down. Yeah, we already moved that other plate. This you got to watch out for. But this was the problem spot. Let me just focus on that. This is why see these 2 pieces here? This is what flicks. This is what's flicking the date wheel twice again. After the first one, there's like another piece of this that's kind of on this side. And so if you look at it, it's just this. It's on this wheel or disc, and then it kind of comes out from here, and it's not connected on this end. This is like a piece right that just extends across like that, and then they have these 2 pieces. And conversely, on the other side, there's another piece that goes down like this, and has a similar kind of, I don't know, nib or hook thing here, but only one. So that's what flicks the date forward. As it goes around, it's going to come around here, and then it's going to flick that forward. But I had this when I reassembled everything. This was slipped underneath this plate, so it was on the same, I guess, level as this piece on this side of the. I don't know what this mechanism is called, but it was. That's why when this came around, as this was, after it flicked, this one was coming around. This one's coming forward. It'll hit this and move it twice, and then this one is the second one that would move it again. This is what you want for the day disk. And that's why it should be sitting up on top of this plate and it'll advance the date. The day wheel twice, because you have two languages. So you have set to English, it'll jump to Spanish, for instance, and then it'll jump back to English for the next day. Yeah, so this was my problem spot here, just because it was slipped underneath that plate. And so what I did was, as I was advancing the crown on the second position, this was like slowly rotating over. I get a small flat instrument or something to carefully lift this piece up above this plate, and as I was doing, I was advancing that would, move this piece, make sure it moved over this plate and stayed on top of there. And yeah, and so so then I got that to, I guess, the upper level, which will control advance the day wheel twice, and that seemed to fix the problem. So if you're having to get to this stage and you're finding a similar problem, this is the culprit here. That's why it was advancing the date wheel 3 times, once and then twice again as you're advancing the time. Yeah. So once you can get this, make sure this is above on the second plate. It will just kind of ride around here. And for some reason it doesn't drop back down to the second level once it gets to this opening. It stays up there. I think there's enough material back here that keeps it, sitting on top of this plate as it comes around. So it always stays on top here, and moves the day disc twice. Around or after probably midnight. So that's it. I just wanted to be able to show it to you without actually taking my watch apart, the movement and everything apart again, just to show it to you, because I think this will give you the idea fairly good. And it is tricky to put back together because this plate here shifts around. It's not locked on because you need those screws. So I had to put like a finger, holding it down one place while I lock down the screws all around. It's a tricky business, but it got done. So let's see, let me back up out of this. I think that's basically it. Yeah, and if you remove this plate right here that sits on top and has this kind of piece that hooks up here, I wish I knew what that was called. Once you get that out, you can see this is underneath, and yeah, this piece you don't want to lose. That can also pop out. This drives the date forward and everything, and as you're setting the time, this moves the date forward too. And that's basically it. And then just put it back in reverse. So hope that was clear enough as to basically right here, this piece. Just make sure that this part of this disc, I don't even know what the hell it's called, is this part of it that has the 2 prongs or hooks or whatever you call it. This is sitting above on this plate, and the other one that's on the other side that has a single one of these things here that stays below it, so it moves the date, and this one on top moves the day. And that's basically it. Make sure everything goes back together. I suggest you keep this resource open. Again, circleparts.wordpress.com. There's all sorts of resources on there. It's constantly updating. I see all these archives throughout. He sells parts too. This is where originally I got some trim stems from them. And I would suggest also you take a picture of your movement as you are taking it apart, just so you have a reference as to how your specific movement fits back together and should look like as you're working on it. If you're going to go this deep to change the day and date wheel, it can get kind of messy here if things pop out the way they shouldn't, and things tend to shift around as well fairly easily. So that's the only thing to be aware of. Alright, so I hope that helps. Finally, I think I can get into putting the movement in, and the chapter ring, and the crystal, and everything else, the bezel and everything in the next video. I think it should be completed, my Firefly mod. So we'll take a look at that very soon. Thank you. Bye.